From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a major night here on LALATE as the jobs number on Friday is going to be released. And it's a big number. It shows you how many people have jobs, how many jobs are created, and the unemployment rate in the United States. But in the lead up to that number, we have other job numbers released today, yesterday, and the day before. And what does it show? A tug and pull of supply and demand, as the Federal Reserve is trying to raise those rates but not destroy labor. And all the breaking news on that tonight, the analysis abounds, but we're not done there yet. Federal Reserve commentary coming in the last hour since afternoons. As Fed governors say, despite whatever the numbers are on Friday for jobs, we are still raising rates. That's, my friends, why you have to get a fourth stimulus check. In this night's recording, we're going to go over the massive amount of stimulus. We have federal stimulus checks. These are from the federal government, the Congress, the president, upwards of $300,000. What do? You stay to the second half. Promise me this, you'll stay the big second half as we go over each of these 300 checks from the federal government for you. Then, inflation relief stimulus checks, ISCs. We'll go over how you get these automatic checks and where do they come from. Then we go over to lifetime stimulus. And in the big second half, we'll analyze the latest details of inflation, the latest details of that CPI-W, as it's about to be announced on October 13th. Jump into live chat right now. Tell me where you believe that September CPI-W will land on October 13th. Now remember, gasoline's going higher, but we have another major story tonight. You heard it. 2 million barrels being cut a day in production by OPEC+, but you may not have heard this news. The White House and Congress is considering conducting a bill and an investigation of the Sherman Act to potentially call OPEC Plus a cartel that's price manipulating gasoline. It's big news. I'll have the breaking news on that tonight as well. Plus, we'll be going over what to expect with Friday's announcement. It's huge. The latest details on jobs, and we also have the breaking details on companies missing on those corporate earnings. Big stimulus. Promise me you'll stay the big second half as we go over these massive stimulus checks in tonight's recording. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, it's a big recording, it's a big night. Everything you need to know heats up right here, right now, as Evenings LA gets underway. And good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful night. And thank you for joining me on another major recording tonight from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Massive stimulus heats up the second half of this recording, so make sure you stay to the second half of this recording. I'm going to go over these 300 plus checks of FSCs, these inflation relief stimulus checks, and these lifetime of stimulus checks as well. But in tonight's recording, so much happening. We'll go over the benefit raises, the housing market, your unemployment, and of course, your fourth stimulus from the shores of Santa Monica, California. The breaking news starts right now. How are you? I hope you're doing good and getting ready for the holiday season. Halloween is just around the corner. You know, it's like Day of the Dead every day at Mitch's office. If you've not watched Holidays LA at 11 a.m., it's getting really interesting. A preview of it was at the 3 o'clock show of afternoon. So let's go right into the breaking news right now. It's jobs. Jobs are really heating up, and more data in the last 20 minutes that I did not even have on afternoons. The jobs data is heating up because of tomorrow. On Friday, we have the jobs number released. This is the non-farm payroll once a month. And the projection is an increase to above 275,000 a month of September, and unemployment coming in at 3.7. That would basically be a whole no change on that. They believe that hourly earnings are going to increase 0.3% month to month, which would be 5.1% year to date. Minneapolis President Neil Kashkari says, I want Americans to make more money, but we also need to have a stable economy, an economy with 2% inflation. Wage growth is going higher, and you expect an economy delivering 2% inflation. So that gives me some concern. He's basically saying, I know your salaries are going up, but the increase of inflation is too severe. And Atlanta Fed Raphael Bosnick minutes ago also said we're potentially in the early days of these interest rate spikes from the Federal Reserve. There you go, 2024 is to where we're doing this. The week has been heating up with a lot of job data before Friday. On Wednesday, the ADP payroll data was released that showed American companies added 8,000 more jobs than expected in the month of September, but initial filings for unemployment benefits today, the new jobless claims, was not particularly good. Remember that number went all the way to 230 back in August? You remember that? Yeah, it was 180, went up to 230, and then it went back down to about 188 for early September, late September. So it's going back up again. Here we go, folks. 219,000 new jobless claims. Friday's employment number is expected to show that there were 250,000 jobs created in the month of September with a gain of 280,000. That would be lower than the prior month, but still hot enough for the Federal Reserve to raise rates. But on Tuesday, it showed that job openings tumbled by 1.1 million. Less jobs available, less people quitting their jobs. So here's a question for you tonight to start with. In July, there were 2 jobs available for every unemployed person. 2 jobs available. In August, it got a little bit tighter, the labor market, 1.7. So where do you believe the number is tonight to September? There's no answer because we don't have the number yet. What do you think the number is? 2 for every unemployed person in July. August, 1.7. What do you think it is tonight? Call me your state. My answer is I think it's 1.5. California. I think it really has tightened. Paycheck and INH Marquette also says that employers with less than 50 employees are decreasing hiring across the board, and that the number of people with full-time work has fallen by 383,000 in the same period across the board. There you go. Now, when we jump into tomorrow's data, here's what you need to know, is that Challenger Gray and Christmas believes that job cuts surged 46% in September. Whoa, that is significant. And that the reaction to the news is the Federal Reserve will keep hiking rates until the labor market cracks, says Megan Schreiber at Bank of America. Do I agree? I do not agree. We had a comment from one of the Fed governors out of Georgia this morning. He heard the narrative I had projected for you to hear. It was the following. If Friday's job number shows there's a lot of great jobs and everyone has employment and everything is great, then the Federal Reserve will come in more aggressively. And if the job numbers are really weak and everyone's losing their jobs, the Federal Reserve is going to stop raising rates. Who said that? You know, Wall Street. And the Fed governor actually came out and said, stop that. I love us. They're a little sick of it as much as you and I are sick of it. Every time that Wall Street has an opportunity to tell you the Federal Reserve is going to stop raising rates, they try that storyline again. It's just fiction, like a bad soap opera where the illegitimate child comes back to Salem after being escaped on a barge for 2 years. And this time the Federal Reserve is so sick of it. Stop it. So I love it. I love it. This is why you have to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. It's not particularly a good situation, this economy. And I'll explain to you more in a second. And tonight's recording, I have massive stimulus for you. It's great news. I have inflation relief stimulus checks. I have federal relief stimulus checks, federal stimulus checks, and I have lifetime stimulus checks. And those incredible stimulus checks are coming up in the big second half. I'm going to go over them in just a second, a preview. But make sure you promise me this. You stay to the big second half as we go over all those incredible checks. One of the reasons you want to get those checks is the earnings recession. Third quarter has ended of the U.S. economy. We're in the fourth quarter. And we're now starting to get the corporate earnings coming in from the third quarter. And is it looking good? It's not looking good. Let's look at the data tonight. Peloton is down 4.1% in pre-market trading as it's cutting another 500 employees of its remaining 12% of its workforce after it's been cutting employees month after month all year long. McCormick, the spice company, not so spicy, fell 1.1% in pre-market trading on an earnings miss. But Compass and Eli Lilly were up on good news on individual businesses unrelated to earnings across the board. And with that, what's important to understand is that the massive amount of stimulus that's available tonight is huge for you, and you want to get that huge amount of money. But tonight I have a very fascinating quote that I really want to put right in the early part of this recording, because I think this is brilliant, brilliant analysis, but it's also scary analysis. The analysis is by Shannon Ciccone, Chief Investment Officer at CVP Private Bank. She says that wage inflation, the higher wages that people are getting across the board, is not going to come down. You and I have been talking about that. It's not going to come down. And that the higher rent that the landlord's getting is also not going to come down. So that's actually you and I been talking about. And I would add to also the higher medical bills. Remember that we always talk about those three things, the easy ones. They're always going up month to month. So she says, what's left for the Federal Reserve to reduce inflation? Food. That's all that's really left for the Federal Reserve to get down with inflation is food. Because they can't do it with rent, they can't do it with the housing, they can't do it with the wages, and they can't do it with the medical. So this is a fascinating story tonight. And does that mean they could potentially not get it done? Absolutely yes. And that, my friends, is why you need to get that fourth stimulus check. Because why? We may have much more inflation than even the Federal Reserve is predicting. And let's go over those incredible checks right now. FSC, baby. FSC, federal stimulus checks, passed by the President of the United States and Congress. They're from the federal government. So let's understand why that's important. It's paid by the federal government, sent by the federal government. Application is from the federal government, and the stamp on the envelope from the federal government. It's even mailed from the federal government. Your state has nothing to do with these FSCs. These are huge. And they started with the president, they continue with Congress. Let's look at these first three checks. The first three checks are A, B, and C. Passed by executive action of Joseph Biden in the month of March. Views have been getting them. A, B, and C. We're going to go over those incredible first three FSC checks, A, B, and C, in just a second. Then came Congress. Congress passed a bill that established 7 other categories of FSCs, E through K. That brought us to hundreds of FSC, federal stimulus checks. But we weren't done there here yet. No. In the LALATE newsletter, I found you more FSCs. L and M, N and O, P and Q. And late in this recording, stay the big second half, we're going to go over these incredible FSCs one at a time. Then we'll be looking at the incredible ISCs, inflation relief stimulus. And then we'll be looking at the big LFCs, lifetime stimulus checks. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Now, in the big second half, I'm going to ask you the answers to this question, but here I'm going to ask them as a lead-in. Where do you believe that COLA raise will be when it's announced on October 13th? Answer in the live chat right now. COLA raise, comma the number, comma your state, and I'll go over that answer with you in the big second half. What's fascinating today in the data is a report that came in that really shocked me when I saw it. And I'm really shocked by data, but this report is like nothing I've ever seen coming out of Congress or the White House. The report stems from something you and I have been talking about for a while, gasoline. And you and I know how this works. When gasoline goes up, inflation goes up. Pretty simple? Yes. So what's at issue? Over the last 2 weeks, I told you that OPEC Plus, a consortium of gas-producing countries like Saudi Arabia, was going to cut their production. And in cutting their production, what does that mean? In cutting their production, that means they would pump less gasoline out of the ground. Less gasoline means higher gasoline prices. Higher gasoline prices means more inflation. More inflation means more trouble for the U.S. economy. And you and I knew, because I recorded over the last 2 weeks, that OPEC Plus was expected to cut production, which would raise the price of the gasoline. The President of the United States in the month of August went to Saudi Arabia and said, don't do it. Give us only actually increase production. He only got 100,000 more barrels a day. Vladimir Putin in the last 7 days said, cut production more than you're predicting to cut it because I want to hurt the Western allies. They were supposed to cut it by 1 million barrels. They cut it by 2 million barrels. But that's not the news story that shocks me tonight. The news story that shocks me tonight is this. There's a report that bipartisan legislators in both the House and Senate are considering going after OPEC Plus for price manipulation, for antitrust, and trying to label OPEC Plus as a cartel? Yes, as a cartel. If that shocks you, it should, because it's like nothing like anything I've ever seen on this channel. Let me go over the background on the story coming out tonight. The background of the story starts several months ago when the President of the United States wanted to keep his allegiance to the extent he can with certain countries of OPEC Plus. And what did the president do? He told the bipartisan leadership not to do the bill. Not to do the bill called the NOPEC legislation. But once OPEC Plus cut gasoline by 2 million barrels a day yesterday, it's reportedly thought as this was the nail in the coffin for the relationship. Here's the analysis, not official data, but the analysis by RBC Capital Markets tonight. It's shocking. A more clear risk, in our view, is the introduction of U.S. product export restrictions in a rising retail gasoline price environment. What does that mean? It means going after the higher prices of gasoline being thrown upon the U.S. citizens from overseas. Congressional action, that's a bill, on NOPEC legislation also looks like a credible output and outcome in light of the national security statement about working with Congress to reduce OPEC's overall influence on the oil market. White House opposition to NOPEC has served to restrain influence on congressional leaders in the past. But today's whistle may be interpreted as a sign that the president will not necessarily stand in the way of a floor vote any longer on the bill that would declare OPEC a cartel. A cartel and subject members to Sherman antitrust legislation. Folks, this is astronomically important. This is basically saying, I've tried to work with you, OPEC Plus, as the leader of the free world in the United States. You have actually gone on a political terror now and actually cut oil exactly like Vladimir Putin wanted you to do to hurt the Western allies. And you're doing it in a way that's price manipulating. So far, all that's actually true. They are price manipulating. They're cutting gasoline so that it goes higher. And what would that involve then? The proposal is a NOPEC legislation bill that would basically go after OPEC Plus in U.S. territories. Is it available? Is it something they can do? I don't know. But the mere suggestion of it is something shocking. The Saudi energy minister, Prince Salman, says we're continuing to prove that OPEC Plus is here to stay. That's sort of the problem. We are know you're here to stay, but you're price manipulating. And Secretary General Al Ghazana from OPEC Plus says, we're doing this to create stability to energy markets. Untrue. You're doing it to cut production, to raise the price of gasoline, to hurt the Western allies and give them inflation so they cannot afford the gasoline. We all know what you're doing. And the question is whether the White House will finally let the bipartisan legislation of the Congress do the NOPEC legislation. Folks, this is shocking because remember, let's go over. Gasoline goes higher, inflation goes higher. Inflation goes higher, Federal Reserve raises rates higher, Federal Reserve raises rates higher. Yeah, big issues across the board. And this, my friends, is exactly why you have to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Let's go right into those incredible checks of check A, B, and C, the first three FSCs that viewers are getting. And I'm going to start with the biggest checks right now because you want to get those incredible monies right now. In view of this shocking detail with gasoline going higher and inflation potentially going even higher than it is right now. The first checks are A, B, and C. Again, these are incredible. Let's recap what happened with those. These first three checks were passed by the President of the United States by executive action in the month of March, and they are huge. Viewers have gotten them ever since. I call them checks A, B, and C. And how do you get them? You become a member. You stay the big second half. We're going to go over each of these incredible checks one at a time. But first, let me give you a preview of the first three checks right now. Those first three checks are A, B, and C. Check A, $6,500 to $12,000. It is an FSC of deliciousness. $6,500 to $12,000. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you're on benefits, go get it as well. How do you get this incredible check? Step one, you go under this video and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. You go down the membership newsletter delivered from me to you, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, to where you see check A. Click the link and go right in and apply. Congratulations to Spelly, who got this incredible check just days ago. This is check A, but you're not done there yet. You're going to go get check B. Check B is a $6,500 to, excuse me, is a $15,000 to $80,000, but in many cases, viewers are getting over $100,000 FSC. How do you get check B FSC? You become a member. Go under this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Congratulations to the nearly 100 new members joining daily on this channel. Why? Daily or every other day. Why? Because you need to get this incredible money right now. And you don't want to wait to get this money at all. You become a member. You go down that membership newsletter delivered from me to you. And you go where it says Check B. You click the link and go right in and apply. And in the case of Check B, success stories left and right on this channel. Here is Frank Mancuso. He joined, spent a few dollars to become a member on this channel, and within less than a month, he got 18 months of mortgages, checks, 18 months of utility, checks, 18 months of high-speed internet, checks. Look at that money. That is not $100. That is not $1,000. That is thousands and thousands of dollars for just becoming a member for a few dollars on this channel. And that is the incredible Check B. Again, how do you get this? You join this channel, become a member on the video, go down in the membership newsletter, see Check B, and go get it. But you're not done there yet at all. You're going to get other checks additionally. And which ones? You're going to get Check C. You join this channel, go down the membership newsletter which says Check C, and go get that. It's for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. And it tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. Now, in the case of Check C, the average viewer of this channel is getting about 18 months of Check Cs. 18 months of Check Cs, 5 checks a month. That's 80 checks overall, but it gets even better than that. In the membership newsletter, I have 12 places. 12 places for you to get Check C. So promise me this, you will reach out to all 12 places. You will reach out to all 12 places because one may say no, but the other one will say yes. Reach out to the 12 places to get those incredible Check Cs. And that, my friends, are Check A, B, and C. The first 3 of many checks in this recording. Stay the big second half as I go over the remainder of those FSCs in the big second half. But let me show you what you could be getting right tonight if you become a member. Let's look at these incredible success stories. Upwards of $30,000 for rent. Do you want it? Go get that incredible Check C. How about utilities? Go get that incredible Check C. Lynn Glenn just days ago got 12 months of utilities. Another viewer, 12 months of utilities. 2 viewers last week got 14 months of rent. We're not done there yet. How about SNAP? Well, back at the utilities, there's Mark. His brother-in-law got $15,000 of utilities. That same brother-in-law over 10 years is getting $250,000 of SNAP from this channel. Huge. Combinations of checks. Here's Nisi, who had 23,000. She went to 50,000. Here's Mark. He was at 32,000. He went to 50,000. Then to 100,000. And then to 166,000. How did he do it? He went under this video and became a member, and he got Check B. Here's Lorraine. She was at 105, and she went to 155. Incredible stimulus, and she's still getting more stimulus today. Again, those are the first 3 checks, checks A, B, and C, of many FSCs coming up later in this recording. Now, let's go back into the situations unfolding right now. These job numbers are very important. Let me tell you what you're going to see tomorrow and what you'll likely see next week as well. If you've been on this channel, you've watched this job number released monthly, and it's one of the numbers I say that's very, very much the talk of the town. When the number's released, people use the number for their narrative. It's manipulated the storyline based upon the number. Here's what they do and what they're going to do tomorrow and next week as well. If the number shows there's less jobs, that the labor market is weaker, then they're going to tell you that the Federal Reserve is going to stop raising rates. In fact, if the number's not that particularly weak and they want to tell you it's weak, they're going to say it's weak and the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates. Not happening. The Fed governor out of Georgia today says, I know exactly what you're going to say tomorrow. Make it clear to you, I'm not cutting rates, nor is any other Fed governor at the Federal Reserve. We're going to stay with those interest rate spikes into 2024. On the other side of the equation, when the numbers release tomorrow, if the number shows that the jobs are too strong, that there's a lot of job creations, that the unemployment rate is really low and great news, does that mean the Federal Reserve is going to do something stronger also untrue, because the Federal Reserve is not going to go higher than 75 basis points in the next FOMC meeting, which is just less than about a week away. They're not going to do anything higher than 75 basis points. And they're going to stay at 75 basis points, my projection, for the whole rest of this year. Remember, Jay Powell had already said they're going to raise rates into 2024 until they get inflation to a target 2%. So does tomorrow's number impact the Federal Reserve? Not really at all, because the Federal Reserve is just starting this equation of what they're doing. And that ultimately, if the number's weak, if the number's strong, it's not going to change or cause what's, quote, a Fed pivot. The Federal Reserve is not going to change policy. Now, let's understand how that impacts your wallet. Let's go over these questions right now. Jump in the live chat. I want to ask you a series of questions. You give me the answer, and then I'll go back and tell you what the answers were. Here is the questions. First, if gasoline goes higher, does inflation go higher or lower? Right in the live chat. If inflation goes higher, does the Federal Reserve raise rates or does the Federal Reserve lower rates? If the Federal Reserve raises rates, does the bond market go up or does the bond market go down? And finally, if the bond market goes up, does the stock market go up or does the stock market go down? All right, here are the questions. And the questions help you for that big stimulus checks coming up in the big second half a lot. And you have been doing such a great job with this. Learning to earn, you're just doing a great job. Here are the answers. When gasoline goes up, what happens to inflation? You know the answer. As in, gasoline goes up, inflation goes up, because gasoline is a component of the inflationary numbers. Number two, as inflation goes up, does the Federal Reserve lower rates or does the Federal Reserve raise rates to battle higher inflation? You know this answer. The Federal Reserve raises rates to battle higher inflation. As the Federal Reserve raises rates, does that mean the bond rate goes up or goes down? You know that answer as well. As the Federal Reserve raises rates, the bond rate goes up, obviously. And finally, one of the most important questions. As the bonds go up, do the stocks go up or do the stocks go down? They go the other direction. So the bonds go up and the stock market goes down. And that's why you've seen this week sort of an ebb and pull. Stocks were up at the highest gains of several months on Monday and Tuesday, up 600 points in just 2 days. Actually, 600 points on each consecutive day, but then reverted. And that's what we call bear market rally. A bear market rally means in a downward spiraling market, you'll have pops up and down sometimes. And those rallies are short felt. That is a bear market rally. And that, my friends, is why you have to get these incredible force stimulus checks in every U.S. states. In the big second half, we got a lot of checks to go over. We're going to go over the continuation of those FSC checks, federal stimulus checks from the federal government, paid by the federal government, sent by the federal government, application with the federal government. And viewers are walking away with $200,000. I'll show you how to get more of these FSCs as we go over more of the FSCs in the big second half. Then we turn over to inflation relief stimulus checks. Stimulus checks to battle inflation. And where are they coming from? And are they automatic? They're coming up in the big second half. Then we turn to lifetime stimulus. And here's the two questions going in the big second half. If you haven't answered them yet, jump on the live chat. Where do you believe that CPI-W will be for the month of September? Write CPI-W, the number, comma your state in the live chat. And I'll go over your answers after the commercial break. And next, COLA. Where do you believe that COLA will be when it's announced on October 13th? The COLA now number, comma your state, and I'll answer your questions in the big second half. We're just getting started. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. And the big second half, we're going to go over all this continuation of stimulus and more about what's coming up later this week. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, we're just getting started. I'll see you back in 60 seconds as a big, bold, beautiful afternoon to LA continues from the shores of Santa Monica, California this day, as all the details you need to know about this economy are still evolving tonight.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues right now in a big second half on the shores of Santa Monica, California. Inflation's hitting really hard, but could be going even higher. I'll analyze that with you in just a second. But first up, those incredible stimulus. Yes, we started with checks A, B, and C of the FSCs. But now in the big second half, we're going to go over more checks. These are the continuation of those FSCs. These done by Congress. These incredible FSCs are for the purple power. You've been getting them ever since, and I'm going to show you more of them right now, starting this big second half. Congress came along and passed a bill that established more FSCs, and they are checks E through K in the membership newsletter. You go down the membership newsletter past checks A, B, and C, which we already went over, and then we have checks E through K. Federal stimulus, FSC, for the federal government, paid by the federal government, sent by the federal government, and you apply with the federal government. Let's look at them right now. Check E, $7,500. F, $4,000. G, 30% off. H, $2,000. I, $8,000. J, also $8,000. And K, $14,000. Wow, that is incredible. We're not done there yet, because after those checks, I found you other checks, and those incredible checks follow thereafter. What are they? They are checks L, M, N, O, P, and Q. Those incredible checks follow thereafter, and they are wonderful. Let's look at them right now. Check L, $100,000 on average of loan interest-free money. Whoa. And $4,000 of free grant money for you. That's great. N, this is my favorite of all the FSCs. And I love because it's a brand new computer. A brand new computer, a brand new tablet, a brand new laptop, up to $100 for it from a participating provider. I love it because most tablets that are really good in the market are less than $100. This is just incredible. Plus, it comes with free internet. Yes, that's Stimulus N. Down the membership newsletter, you go down at Stimulus N. Then we have Stimulus O. Stimulus O is zero down payment, zero closing costs, and no insurance and insurance needed, and no credit check required for a brand new home down payment. Just incredible. And then Stimulus P is 3% refi on existing home, and Q is $8,000 of free grant money closing costs. Just incredible. And there you go. That is the conclusion of the wonderful A to Q FSCs. But let's recap them. The largest FSC check, the largest federal stimulus check, $100,000. The smallest, about $8,000. The fastest routing time, about 2 days. Johnny started on Monday. By Wednesday, that's 2 days, he had $45,000. Huge. He wasn't done there yet. By Friday, which is less than 4 days, he got $80,000 by reaching out to 15 places, 15 applications in, and getting 7 approved. $80,000 in 4 days. There's checks for all different types of items. There's checks to repair the home. There's checks for rent. There's checks for utilities. There's checks for appliances like the washer dryer or the refrigerator. Checks for computer, a tablet. Checks for almost all different and unusual walks of life. And these, again, are FSCs. How do you get them? Again, you go into this video, you become a member. Join the channel, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Then you go down to check A. click the link and go and apply. B, click the link and go and apply. I do it all for you. Check C tells you who to call. You got to call 12 places. And then you go in for the other ones and apply and apply and apply. The membership newsletter delivered from this channel, LALATE 1, LALATE 2, and LALATE 3 to you Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Exactly. If you're on the East Coast, that's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you're in the Midwest, that's 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Now, ready for more checks? I bet you are. In addition to those incredible checks, then we got other checks, and those are incredible inflation relief stimulus checks. What are inflation relief stimulus checks? They're a little bit different. And let's go over everything you need to know. First, where are they? They are in the membership newsletter at Check D like donut. So you go down to Check D, you click the link at Check D, and it opens up a brand new page because there's too much information for me to tell you. I need to write it as a whole new page. At Check D, I give you the states one at a time. Then I give you the amount of the check. Then I give you a link to go to the state's website, your state's website, that shows you where you can track the check, learn about how it's delivered, when it's arriving. It's direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. It's the state website dedicated specifically to that ISC check in your state. All right, let's go over those inflation relief stimulus checks right now. Number one, they're in virtually all U.S. states. Most states have not talked much about them. So you're likely living in a state that has it, but you absolutely probably have never heard it on the local news, never heard it in the newspaper, never seen it on the radio. They just don't talk about them, but they're there. They are in almost all U.S. states. Number two, they're about $1,000. Good. So they'll pay some bills for this week and next month, approximately. Not months and months of bills, but do good deeds across the board. Number three, you generally qualify. Same income qualifications as all these other stimulus, like $75,000 less, maybe a couple $150,000 less. And finally, if you've never filed a tax return, you can voluntarily file one, and you will need to. In most cases, they need to at least have a tax return on file. You go to irs.gov and you can electronically submit it for free. It all takes a few minutes, and you can voluntarily file that tax return. Again, all those details are down at Check D in the membership newsletter. Huge. And with that, let's go over to lifetime stimulus. Why do we call it lifetime stimulus? Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Here's an example. If your benefits go up 10% next year, that's not next year, it's a lifetime. And J-Powell's already made clear to us that there'll be inflation next year. So your benefits will go up again the year after that. And he also said there'll be inflation in 2024. So your benefits are going to keep on going up each consecutive year. Well, how do they go up? And why are they going up? They're going up because of inflation. So let's go over the details right now. Your benefits are tied to something called COLA, cost of living adjustment. And it's going to be announced on October 13th. On October 13th, we learn how much your benefits are going up a lifetime when that COLA announcement is made on October 13th. Now, what is also on October 13th is the announcement of another number, the CPI-W for the month of September. Your COLA goes up based upon the CPI-W for July, which was 8.7, the CPI-W for the month of August, which was 8.9, and the CPI-W for the month of September, which is also being released the same day as the COLA on October 13th. Now, over the last few months, we've been going over these data together. You and I, we went over July before we had July and August before we had August. And we've been going over September before we had September. And early in this recording, I asked you, where do you believe the CPI-W for the month of September will be when it's announced in just a few days on October 13th? Write your answer in live chat right now if you didn't write it earlier. The overwhelming response I've been seeing the last few days is 9.1, 9.2, or 9.3. That is where viewers are averaging their answers at. I'm not seeing any answers over 9.5, and I'm seeing no answers in the 8.9 range. Why are viewers saying that, and do I agree? First, I do agree. They are saying that because you and I have watched what happened in September that did not happen in July and August. It was higher gasoline prices. Later in the month of September, you and I watched as gasoline reverted the other direction. It had been going down every day in July and August, down about 10, 20 cents, AAA national average per day those months. But in September, I recorded on air as soon as it happened. I said, did you see what happened? In the membership newsletter, where I have the price of gasoline every night at the AAA national average and the Brent crude number. I said, did you see what happened? It didn't go down today. It was flat. It was the same number as the day before. I wonder what's going to happen the next day, I said. And the next day, it went up. And the day after that, it went up. And the whole rest of the month, it went up. In fact, on some days, it went up 20 cents a day. And that's why the price of gasoline is so expensive where you live right now. Jump in the live chat right now and tell me, what are you paying for gasoline for right now, which obviously is October, not September, comma your state. 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles, it was about a low $5. Now it's pushing $7 again. It's very, very abrupt, very sudden. And so this is why viewers are taking that CPI-W from July at 8.7, August at 8.9, and now saying the CPI-W for September will be higher. I'll give you my number in just a second. But first, let's go into the component of that CPI-W at issue. And I'm going to do it differently tonight than I even have ever done before on this channel, because those comments that came in from that brilliant analysis that looks sort of familiar. In spring of 2022, this year, I told you that the Federal Reserve is not going to get inflation down because inflation is caused by supply chain disruption, inability to get the products from the manufacturer to you or from the farms to you at a cheaper cost. And if supply chain disruption is still around, they're not going to get supply chain disruption to end by raising interest rates. The shippers don't care about the interest rates. Truck drivers don't care about the interest rates. I also said if gasoline prices continue to go up, that's not going to get inflation down because interest rate spikes don't have anything to do with gasoline prices. So why was this quote so fascinating? The quote tonight is basically a mere copy of what I said in February of this year. Wages are now embedded in the cost structure. The statement is basically saying price of wages going up monthly is now embedded in the landscape of the American public. And it's probably not going to be any different for other items. They're going to try to put some emphasis at the Federal Reserve on food and housing prices to get them lower, but they may not be able to. So what is my analysis tonight that's slightly new? My analysis tonight that's slightly new is that I'm going to take that a little bit further, and I'm going to bring it back to where I said in February. Federal Reserve is not going to get a landlord to cut the price of the rent. It's just not going to work. Federal Reserve is not going to get the medical bills lower. It's not going to work. And the Federal Reserve is not going to get the salaries lower. It's not going to work. So here we go. Get ready to loosen up those fingers. Get in the live chat because I have some questions for you. We're going to go over where you expect these numbers to be in the month of September when they're released in just a few days from now on October 13th. Here are the warm-up questions. Number one, is the rent going to go down? We just went over that. That's easy. No one is cutting anyone's rent. It's going to go up. It's going up about 1% per month, and the Federal Reserve has nothing to battle it. Number two, is the salaries going down? No, they're going up 0.2% per month. We had the PCE last Friday was up. We have some data today about the salaries going up. It's not going down. So the Federal Reserve raising rates is not going to get labor rates down. Employment rates are not, your salaries are not going to go down. And finally, medical bills. Do the people billing you for medical bills going to reduce them because inflation rates are higher, interest rates are higher? No, of course not. So this is all easy. So where is the only place that the Federal Reserve may be able to battle this? The groceries. And get those fingers loosened up. Last night I asked a question. I thought it was going to be a tsunami. I know it was a tsunami. I said, I'm going to ask you a question. You write up or down. You write the product up or down, comma your state, and I want to see the answer. And the question was soda. Oh my goodness. Soda, is it up or comma down, comma your state? And the answer was soda, comma insanely, wildly, through the roof up, comma my state. That was the answer last night. I agree. In Los Angeles, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't think any product that I brought up on this channel, milk, eggs, chickens, lobster shorts, I don't think anything I brought up has elicited a more viral answer than soda is out of control and it's inflationary prices through the roof. So absolutely, I agree with you there. Do you think that the Federal Reserve raising rates is going to get soda down? Answer in the live chat, yes or no. My answer, no. I mean, no. Why is the soda up? Here is my analysis tonight. The reason why the soda is up is because initially they had supply chain disruption coming out of COVID. The truck drivers went around. We didn't have the shippers. We didn't have the pilots. Now we do. Are the salaries for the shippers and the truck drivers and the pilots so astronomically higher that the price of the goods is so much higher? No. Remember the data we saw tonight is that the wages are only going up 0.2% per month, but the price of the food is going up 1% a month. Yeah, that's pretty obvious we're being gouged. They're gouging us. And they're gouging us, and they'll continue to gouge us until you don't buy the soda. Now, here's an interesting point. I didn't ask this ever before in this question in this channel. Let me ask it tonight. Is there less soda, whether it's the one brand or all the brands, on the shelves? Is there less soda on the shelves? I've seen very little soda on the shelves lately. So I don't know. They may think that they can't get the consumer to buy that soda anymore. So that's why they're not buying it. I've seen a lot of products. Remember I talked about yogurt a few months ago, or about a month ago? Yogurt is starting to be phased out in some markets. I don't see yogurt around anymore. After they try to raise it to $7 a yogurt, which is insanely ridiculous. I mean, it's $2 a yogurt. It should be $7. And suddenly when no one bought the $7 yogurt, they lost a shirt. It's perishable. They threw it away. They said, oh, we're not going to carry yogurt anymore. I've seen a lot of markets say, I'm not carrying that product anymore. So that's really interesting. If the grocery store doesn't carry the product, then the vendor doesn't sell the product, then they will have to reduce the price, and then ultimately it may bring the product back in the store at a cheaper price. That's interesting across the board. So now let's go back to that CPI-W and that COLA. My prediction is CPI-W month of September, 9.1. 9.1. I may be on the low end, but let me tell you where viewers are tracking. They're tracking at a 9.1, 9.2, 9.3. So no one's at an 8, no one's at a 9.5. I agree 100% with you. You're doing a great job on your analysis. You see that the rent, the salaries, and the medical bills are up, that the groceries up, and you see that the gasoline, and we're referring to September because it's a September number, the gasoline went higher in the second half of September. So clearly the CPI-W in September is higher than it was in August at an 8.9. That's easy. The question is, how much higher? Next, the final big question. How much is that COLA going to come in at? This is a harder number to predict. It's not an apple to apple, so it's a harder number to predict. Back in July, when that CPI-W was only an 8.7, the Seniors League said your benefits are going to go up 10%. At that time, I said 11%. I said at the time in July that I was probably too high. Where am I tonight? I'm still at 11%. I think I'm now too low. What are viewers saying in the live chat? And I want to see your answer right now because I need guidance from you. Where do you think this COLA raise is going to be come in your state? Viewers are tracking much higher than me. They're putting it 12%, 13%. I have seen a 15%. I haven't seen an 8. I haven't seen a 9%. I see people higher than me, but I generally don't see people lower than me on that number. Of course, that comes out on October 13th. Wow. What a night it is. I mean, does that feel like a lot? It does feel like a lot. Now, to recap, we have the wonderful FSC, federal stimulus checks, ISC, inflation relief stimulus checks, and LSC, lifetime stimulus checks. What do? You go into this video, you become a member. Then, 7 o'clock on the West Coast, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the Central Standard Time. Right at that exact moment comes the newsletter via the YouTube alerts. You open it up, you go right and apply for check A, apply for check B, learn about check C and make those 12 phone calls. Apply for all those incredible FSCs. Plus, you want to learn about where your ISC check is, you go down to check D. And then I even have the lifetime stimulus in the membership newsletter. Get those incredible sums of money today, tonight, and thank you for staying for the big second half because this is your money. Now, over the last few days, we've seen hundreds of new members every 24 to 48 hours. Why? It's what we expected to happen. The economy is struggling more than ever before, and as it continues to struggle, more people will be showing up for money. So welcome all new members. Welcome to this wonderful family, the Purple Power family. You get this money as quickly as possible. You become another Frank Mancuso. You join this channel for a couple of dollars, and in just a few days, you get thousands of dollars of checks. You move very quickly and get these sums of money. You don't sit around. You don't think about it. You move tonight. Here now is my projection on where you should see this economy erupting to in the next 7 days. In the next 7 days, we have a lot going on. We have Jay Powell at that FOMC meeting just a few days from now. What are they going to do? Well, you already know what they're going to do. They're going to raise rates 75 basis point at the October FOMC meeting. That's pretty obvious. Well, what would happen after that? Would that be a surprise? No, it should not be a surprise to anyone. But I think the November may be a surprise to people who have not been listening, not you, but people on Wall Street not been listening to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve made very clear they're raising rates into 2024. What happens after that? What happens after that is you're going to see more people start to anguish. And I don't mean consumers. What I mean is actually analysts. On a regular basis, I'm seeing more and more analysts with quotes that I really don't run on this channel that say, Federal Reserve is going to break the economy. Federal Reserve is doing this bad. Federal Reserve is doing that bad. Why are they saying that? Because they want you to buy some stocks. They want you to buy some stocks. This is what you're going to see in the next few days this month. The Federal Reserve is, and you actually know this answer before I even say it to you. So actually, I'm going to ask you the question, see if you know the answer, what's going to happen in the remainder of this month. Are gasoline prices going to go up in the rest of this month, or are they going to go down? Answer the live chat. If you said gasoline is going to go up, of course it's going to go up. There's going to be less production because OPEC Plus has now cut production by 2 million barrels a day. We also have a September, which is a month of hurricane season, and October and November, which are months of hurricane season. There will be more hurricanes, which will sideline the refineries and cause less production. Less production, higher gas prices. Next, higher gas prices. Does that mean the CPI-W which is not an issue for your benefits, but just in general, or the CPI? Does that mean the CPI for October and November is going to go higher? Yeah, absolutely. If gasoline continues to go up, that inflation CPI for October, November, December is going to go much higher. If that CPI goes higher, what's the Federal Reserve going to do? Raise rates. Of course they're going to raise rates. They're not going to cut rates. And if the Federal Reserve raises rates, what happens to the bond market? If you said straight up, you got it right. If the bond market goes up, what happens to the stock market? It crashes more. It absolutely crashes more. So this is a very, very predictable timeline at the moment. And what's important for you to understand is this data comes out. The data may show little blips in the sequencing. Don't get confused by the blips. Blips are stock market's up 600 points for a particular day. Blips are a labor number comes out and it shows that there were a little bit more jobs created than expected. A possible blip that comes out is something that says like, housing starts actually improved for 1 week, that type of stuff. Don't get confused by the blips. It's the trajectory we're going on that you need to know. Where is the inflation going? Where is the recession going? Where is the value of your money going? And where is the economy going? I'm really proud of you. And tonight the salute is to you. As viewers of this channel, you have learned so much in such a short period of time. Tonight you know about how gasoline works. Tonight you know why inflation goes up. Tonight you know why the Federal Reserve raises rates. Tonight you know why bonds go up and why stocks go down. Tonight you know what a potential trajectory is with the Federal Reserve over the next few months. Tonight you know where that federal stimulus is, and tonight you know where that inflation relief stimulus is. And finally, tonight you know where the raise your benefits is likely to land approximately, and you also know what numbers it's dependent upon. Look how much you've learned. And we're just getting started because the programming is continuing throughout the night. Coming up next is Countdown at 6 o'clock, Street and Stillness at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock is Extra, 9 o'clock is Sunset, and of course a brand new Evenings LALATE every night at 5 o'clock. The programming continues throughout the night and returns early mornings with sunrise at 3 a.m. on this channel. Sunrise at 3:30 as well. Early mornings LALATE at 4. Then we have Mornings Countdown at 7. Mornings LALATE live on air at 9. And Holidays LALATE is back on, baby, at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Get all that incredible stimulus. Tell your friends to come on over, stand for stimulus, and get these sums of money before before they disappear. Always, always see the big second half, because there's always something critically important to be covered, and includes, of course, your incredible stimulus. From the shores of San Marco, California, stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful night, and stay with LA for more.